Today I thought we would talk about worship and like what worship truly is and what are some views that people have of what worship is. Most people view worship and music as synonymous. For example, if you said to a congregation, I want you to worship the Lord with me, come on, let's magnify him and lift up his holy name, they would assume immediately that music would be involved. They believe that music is so inseparable from worship that the basic underlying ideal that some people have in their mind is that music produces or induces worship. Now, there's nothing wrong with incorporating music with worship in God. In fact, music enriches worship, and even dance does the same thing. It enriches your worship, but it's not the origin of worship. Let me say it in another way. Music is not the beginning of worship. True, sincere worship is orchestrated, put together, and formed in your spirit. God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. But what I want to do today is I want to introduce you to a greater worship of God, where he is the origin and the source of your worship. A worship that originates from your soul, where nothing from the outside has contributed to this worship. Worship is an act by which we offer praise to God. It is not a mood that we put ourselves in by using some outside source to bring us into this state. It's not a feeling that has been induced by the beauty of what we hear or see. Worship is an activity which we give to God, where he is the only member of the audience. It's done out of admiration for God. The reality of our worship is born out of our remembrance of God's goodness toward us. Worship should be formed and given birth out of the basis of his greatness. When we think about, let's see, the creativity of his knowledge and all of creation and how he sustains it all, how he sustains us, that's a cause for worship. When we see his delivering power, when we see his majestic handwriting, his signature of approval on the works of our hands and our words and the words of our mouth and the meditation of our heart, then our worship will originate from a different place. It won't originate from us going to a place like church, for example, to worship him, but it will originate from within us, not from outside sources of entertainment, but from within us. Its origin will gather from a place inside of us where thankfulness resides. Genuine, personal, original praise will leap from our hearts and springboard from our lips into his ears. Our worship begins in truth of what God has done, what he is doing, and what he is able to do. True worship is spiritual, and that is where it begins. And it ends on the outside with various expressions such as dancing, shouting, singing, and even cries and tears, and sometimes silence. I want to encourage you to find your original worship of God that is designed only by you. May our worship be more than it has ever been, because we know more than we have ever known, as we contemplate the greatness and the goodness of the cross of Christ that he's bore for us. Worship the Lord in spirit and truth. Let us magnify his name together. Let us exalt and lift his holy name above all things. God bless you, and amen.